Good morning, students. Let's start the lesson once again to continue the remaining portion. As in the previous classes, we were discussing the first war of independence in 1857, and the causes for the war, why this war took place. So I've already told you there are four causes. First, political cause, then second, social religious cause, and third is economic cause, and the last and fourth is military cause. The military causes are: number one, the low salary and the poor prospects of the promotions. In British Army, the number of Indian sepoys were appointed and working for the East India Company, they were paid very low salary comparative to European soldiers. The British people were getting more salary and Indians were getting less salary. Indians were getting 8 times lesser than British soldiers, and this was not good for Indians. And the poor prospects of promotion, not only the low salary, Indian sepoys were not given any promotion even though they worked for many years, except only 2 positions were given to Indian people as a British Indian sepoy. They remain up to the Subedar and the Saldar only. So this was a major cause under these military causes, that Indian sepoy were not very happy with British system. Then second is the General Service Enlistment Act, which is started by Lord Canning in 1856. Under this law, the General Service Act was, according to this act, all the sepoy of Bengal army should always be ready to serve anywhere out of the country. Always be ready to accompany within or outside the India. This act caused resentment in the minds of the Brahmin sepoy, as sea was taboo for them, and felt that their tradition and custom was at stake. Because the Brahmins, when they travel outside of India, they are not going to get their food, as most of the Brahmins are called vegetarian. So following this law, it was a resentment for the Indians. When they go out, they are not getting proper food, as most of them they like to have vegetarian. It was not provided, and the Bengalis were kept on high as a supervisor for the Indian sepoy. Therefore, it was not very favorable for Indian sepoy. Beside the bata or extra allowances within which they earlier got for such journey and being stopped, there were many allowances when they traveled to other places. Rather than the local cantonment, they were supposed to get some allowances. And under this act, the General Service Enlistment Act, they were not getting, it was all the allowances were stopped except the bata. And the third point is the faulty distribution of troops. The faulty distribution of troops, there had been insufficient British sepoys at certain strategical important places like Delhi, Allahabad, and beside the Indian sepoy knew that British were facing problems as they were engaged in a number of battles outside India, like the China War, Persian Wars, so they were eager to raise their arms against the British. So they distribute the troops not systematically, and it was a faulty distribution of troops. D. Larger number of Indian sepoys in British Army. Previously, if we see the prior to the revolt of 1857, there were more number of Indian sepoys compared to British sepoys. The company troops consisted of 2,38,000 Indian sepoys and 45,000 Indian sepoys. So Indians were in more in numbers in British Army. E. Loss of prestige in Afghan war. Loss of prestige in Afghan war. The British Army was defeated in First Afghan War. It exposed their weaknesses and drove the myth that Europeans were invincible. Under this, always many people believe, and they also believe the British people, they are the more smart and they are more efficient soldiers. As they lost the Afghan wars, this myth was broken and people knew they are not more invincible. Therefore, the Indians fought there to protest against the British army. Now, British can getting daring and feeling that we can just defeat them. Last, the immediate cause of the war. What was the immediate cause of war? As Indian soldiers and British soldiers all together, they were using a normal gun before, but now they brought a new rifle to be used in British Army, which was introduced, and name is Enfield rifle. Enfield rifle, which was introduced among the Indian and British sepoys. In this rifle, they had to load a cartridge, a very particular cartridge for fire. That cartridge was greased with pig fat and the cow fat. And this brought a big problem among the Indians, as their social and religious customs. Indian Hindu cannot touch the cow fat, and Indian Muslim cannot touch the pig fat. Both was prohibited in both the community. Therefore, they don't like. Both the Hindu and Muslim sepoy got panicky, as cow is sacred for the Hindus and Muslims are forbidden to eat pig. The sepoys suspected that it was a deliberate attempt on the part of company to tamper with their religion. Hence, they refused to use these rifles. When they were forced to use them, the revolt broke out. This was the immediate cause for the First War of Independence in 1857, when the Indian soldiers, they refused to use this rifle, Enfield rifle, and the cartridge which was greased by cow fat and pig fat, and they have to bite from the mouth, and then they have to load the cartridge, and it was not allowing the Indian people's conscience to follow this rule. Therefore, the revolt broke out against British East India Company. These are the causes for the First War of Independence. We have finished all these causes. Next, we'll go for the events of the war, how the war after this immediate cause, it spread throughout the India, and which all places were the war started. We're going to study in next lesson. Till that, you all keep studying these causes, because this is a very important topic for the board exams, and one of the major questions come out of these 4 causes for 10 marks in the board exams. At least one cause every year come for the board exam. So my dear students, you have to really focus in your studies. For out of this chapter is the most important in the history for 10th class, as I've seen in the last year. So take care of yourself, stay home, stay safe, study hard. Till that, bye bye. Thank you. We'll meet in next class.